Hello and welcome to the Authentic Creative, expanding our capacity to feel good. Today, I am so delighted, excited to make a new friend. Heidi and I met in LA recently at Cathy Heller's podcasting summit. She was one of the panelists, Heidi Stevens, and I'm going to read her bio to you so you guys know who she is, and then she'll probably pop on while I'm reading it, so that'll be kind of fun. So, Heidi Stevens is a multi passionate, creative entrepreneur who, like so many of us, wears many hats. She's a domestic CEO, which I love, and I want to talk to her about this if it flows into that. I just love that she calls this a domestic CEO because obviously the word housewife is so outdated and it has so many connotations, and it's just ultimately, I find, to be slightly triggering to feel like I'm in control of all the domestic things. And I'm not, but I'm lucky because Jake and I share so much of what we do. But this domestic CEO, I've been really like ruminating on this and marinating with it. And it's like, it just feels different. I feel ownership. I feel pride. I feel excitement. I feel joy around this domestic CEO label, right? So I think it's a really nice way of relating to the things that we need to do, but then really like owning it and being in charge of it. So I'm going to keep going. She's also a life coach, a spiritual seeker, and a master manifestor. Love it. Who holds a master's in spiritual psychology with an emphasis in health, healing, and consciousness. Over the last decade, she has worked with thousands of women, helping them elevate and awaken to their potential through in-person retreats, online programs, and intimate coaching containers. Through her podcast, this is brand new, right? She's rebranded it. It's called Feet on the Grass now. She is sharing the magic, beauty, and joy of moving at a slower, more intentional pace on the ranch that she is bringing to life in northern San Diego. Heidi is here, and I'm just reading her bio. Heidi believes that we are all spiritual beings having a human experience, and the more permission we give ourselves to come home physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, the happier, healed, and aligned we will all be. I love this picture of her so much. I just posted it on my Instagram. So I have so many questions. I'm so excited that Heidi, you're here. You're on mute. So let's see. And also, hopefully, this is going to record. Yay! Thank you so much for taking the time. I know that you are so intentional about what you spend your time on. That's a big part of your whole deal right now in your world. And I know that you really only, what I've listened to on your podcast is spend time doing like kind of two intentionally planned things a day, which is sort of what I like to do. Three feels like a lot for me. If I have like three things on the calendar, I'm like, oh, okay. Four is like, I used to do that. It's too many. So, point being, I'm so honored that I'm one of the intentional things that you planned for today. Thank you.
You are welcome, and I'm honored and so happy to be here. And yeah, we're just rocking and rolling these days, and it's just fun. Like as long as it's fun and it fills the calendar, it's like I'm a hell yes. So here we are.
Yes, yes. You really responded with your whole body. We were in the lobby and of the Cathy Heller's podcasting summit, and you were like, "What's the name of your podcast?" I said, Can you come on to my podcast?" And I said, "The Authentic Creative, expanding our capacity to feel good." And you were like, "Oh," with your whole body. You were like, "Yes!" And I was just like, "She's my people."
Yeah, I mean, just the tagline is so good, expanding our capacity to feel good. Really? Like, what else is there? What else is there? It's like amen to expanding our capacity to feel good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
in that, I feel like both of us are very much willing to face the shadow. It's not about like that is so much a part of it,
Yeah.
right? Right? Like going in to the depths of all of it. And to me, that's like that's so much a part of being able to expand our capacity. It's not just about like, well, let's just skip over everything and just like automatically magically feel good.
Yeah, well, that would be toxic positivity, or what some people would call a spiritual bypass. And so, at least in my experience, the levels to which I'm willing to feel are and the levels that I'm willing to heal are the levels that I'm willing to and able to expand.
Yeah.
And so at certain times in my life, it has felt mucky and yucky and really challenging and uncomfortable. And like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to know that.
Mm.
And the willingness to go there, to feel it, to know it, to see it, and to move through it. Emotions are is energy in motion. And the more that we're willing to ride those waves, like I always say, this too shall pass, this too shall pass. And the willingness just to like get on the wave, like get on the wave. It's there. It's there for you. It only comes up because you're ready and able to heal it. So if we're willing to just get on the wave, it actually dissipates and moves faster than we think in our mind. But it's like our human condition, and
Yeah.
to push it away and to not feel, because it's uncomfortable and it's easier to get busy and to get on social media
Mm.
and to plan our full days and to just go from one thing to the next. Um, yeah, than it is to like heal and feel. But then you're not also getting that like ecstasy and the expansiveness and the feel good and the joy.
Okay, I just have to ask you, Heidi, are you emotional authority in human design?
Oh my God, I don't even know.
Okay, okay, we'll find out later. We'll get back to you, PS. We'll get back to you. I have to direct us towards something that I'm so curious about, and I think that the other listeners are going to be curious about some of Cathy's people. She talks, as you know, a lot about the story of when you said to her, or you announced to people in your world that you were going to slow down, that she had like this visceral reaction and that she threw her phone across the room and was so triggered and then ended up leaving you like a apparently like a 20-minute Voxer about it. And first of all, that's amazing that she shares that about herself. And it's amazing that you were able to trigger her in that way. And I think the other thing about expanding our capacity to feel good and being an authentic creative is like being willing to trigger people. I just am so curious about your side of that story. Like when you heard the Voxer, if you're willing to share, if you feel safe to share, like what was that experience like on your side? Because I've never heard your side of this.
Yeah, it's really funny because I actually haven't, she's my dear friend. So I don't listen to all of her challenges or podcasts, or, I'm not in her courses. And so just this past weekend or a couple weekends ago when I met you was the first time that I'd ever heard her tell that story.
Okay, okay.
And um and and so I was like, "Oh wow, I it's like funny that she's telling that." And we all have our own perspectives on things. And so mine is really, really, really different than hers.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah. So there's a few things that I want to share. First, my experience of that whole thing was just this like little tiny like situation in my, like I was going through so much on my end. I was closing down, I was pausing my coaching business. I didn't have clarity. I had just wrapped up this 3-day retreat on the ranch where 20 women were here for 3 nights. And it was incredible and magical. And it was like this huge expansion. And then like 2 days after, and the women knew, and I knew that post that retreat that I was going to be pausing.
Hmm.
And again, without like, I didn't, was like, I don't know if this is going to be for 2 months. I really didn't know. And so I was having my own personal experience of starting to kind of unpack when my team members left. I was having a conversation with another team member. I was keeping kind of my COO, if you will, on for an extended period of time because we didn't know what was going to happen. And so part of that process of unpacking was just kind of giving a more quote unquote formal announcement, whatever you want to call it, on social
Mhm.
media like, hey, I'm going to pause and this is starting to unpack for me. And I just don't know where it's going. And so there was a lot of response to that, from just people leaving comments to DMs to a few text messages. And so her response was one of those.
Mhm.
And I obviously hold her in such high regard. She's such a dear, dear soul sister of mine. In so many ways, I respect her and I hold her opinion really high. And it was just like for me, it was like, it was a response. And so she was having her response. And it was like, okay, I'm hearing you and I'm going to love you through this. And also, like, I'm in my own shit over here, like,
Mhm.
which has nothing
Mhm.
to do with you,
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I honestly don't even remember how I responded. I don't remember at all. I'm assuming it was something like, thank you for having the courage to share this with me. And I love you. And we all have dominion and we all have choice. And this is my choice right now. And, you know, and, and during those first 6 months, her and my friendship did kind of went into some like different waters because our friendship in the past, there was a piece of it that was based on us both running, quote unquote, big coaching online businesses. And it was like we would talk about that. And she was a mentor to me. And then I would come and help her with other things. And so we would go back and forth on business stuff quite a bit. And so as I'm like starting to cocoon, it was a bit triggering for me to hear about her multiple seven-figure launch. I was like,
Mhm.
I love you and I'm like so supportive of you, but I just don't really want to hear about it. I don't really want to see it. I'm like working my own stuff out right now. So our friendship kind of did this, dance for a while and it was uncomfortable and we could name it and then we would kind of, have a little bit of space.
Mhm.
And I've seen her several times. And also, this, being on stage with her at the event that I met you at was the first time that we've been on stage together and just like kind of dance in this new way in a long time. And it was just
Yeah.
so fun. It
Yeah.
was like a coming home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's my experience. And the other thing is like I think this is true for maybe a lot of people. I don't know. I do feel like I trigger a lot of people, and I don't know what that's about, but, it's
That's such an
hard at
interesting topic right there. Is like,
yeah.
I just love that topic. Oh, yeah. Well,
I don't, because it's not like I try. I'm just
sure.
being me, and it's, like, weird to
Right.
even say that. It's like,
That's right.
I say that humbly, like, I'm just being me, but the
Yep.
reality is, like, the light and abundance and just standing in that can sometimes be like, who do you think you are?
Yep. So I'm really curious. This is not scripted. I'm just like, okay, I gotta know, Heidi, like, this might be uncomfortable, but that thing, it's a manifestor quality, and you talk about master manifesting and standing in your light. Like, what was the journey of that from the beginning for you? What's been your arc of that? Were you always standing in your light and just being who you are and triggering people? Did you have a phase where it was like, I'm gonna shrink or I'm gonna dim? And then now?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give kind of the cliff notes, but growing up, I was a very, very, very high level gymnast.
Okay.
Like I didn't go to the Olympics, but I was an Olympic level gymnast. Went to the US Olympic Training Center in Colorado multiple times. I was national champion when I was
Wow.
13. It was just a gift and so, I pursued it and I worked really hard at it. And I was training 8 hours a day from the time that I was like 10 years old. And so that scenario of like, I give that example because and that part of my history because it actually really has illuminated a lot of my life. Meaning, on one hand, I'm like flipping through the air and unknowingly, very unconsciously playing with energy and kind of
Mm.
dancing, if you will, right? It being a gymnast and like being embodied and being in my body. Um, and loving it, like loving gymnastics. And then also being quote unquote so good at it that it started getting confusing because it was like, okay, wait, now I'm being competitive and now I'm winning and now I want to win. And while there wasn't like a ton of outside pressure, my parents weren't crazy like gymnastics parent fanatics moving our like we actually were invited to move to Houston, Texas to train with Bella Caroli. And my parents said, actually, we're just going to stay put and we want our daughter to have as much of a regular childhood as possible. But I got a lot of praise and I got a lot of attention. I got a lot of affection by being the best.
Yeah.
So here I am, this like 10-year-old phenom with, other 10-year-old girls that weren't that way. And,
Mhm.
kind of like, well, who do you think you are? And it was like, well, I don't know. This is just me. So play that forward.
Yeah.
Um, in high school I was bulimic. I didn't have, my menstrual cycle till I was, 17 years old. Throughout college, I actually switched from gymnastics to diving, and I was
Oh, wow.
on the UCLA diving team on a college scholarship through college. And I just was like I was like so uncomfortable and I just wanted to like be normal. I wanted
Mm.
boyfriends. I wanted attention from boys. I wanted, to go to college parties. And it's like I did. And so I'd say sometimes people say like, "Oh, my 20s were amazing." My 20s were not amazing at all. I put on about 30, maybe even more, like 40 pounds on my little 5'2" frame. I had acne, I had adrenal fatigue. I
Mm.
actually had a lot of symptoms in my 20s, health symptoms that I watch women in their late 30s and 40s go through. It was almost like perimenopausal in my
Okay.
20s.
Okay.
And so what happened was I started on like I saw this holistic nutritionist and he was like, "Okay, I can help you." I had candida overgrowth and like
Oh,
all these health
yes.
challenges,
Yep.
and I was drinking a lot and I was bartending and I was like a salesperson for a wine company. And so I was just like, just doing what I think people do.
Hmm.
And so he was like, well, I can help you with the food, but you have a lot of addictive tendencies. And I think you really have some disordered eating happening. So then I saw my first therapist. And then I got into OA when I was like 25 years old, Overeaters Anonymous, and I
Yep.
worked the 12-step program. Um, and it was just kind of like one thing after another. I was in commercial real estate. I was making well over $100,000 a year at the age of 25, and I just started I just started investing all the money into personal development.
Amazing.
It was amazing. And I'd go on these retreats, and it wasn't Tony Robbins, but like Tony Robbins. And I would
Hmm.
see this healer in Santa Monica, and I would go to sound baths, and then I would get up every morning and put on my pencil skirt and high heels and I'd go into Beverly Hills and sell an apartment building. I was like, what is happening? And I felt really divided for a really long time. Like I was this kind of, rock star commercial real estate 25-year-old that was so uncomfortable, like
Mm.
uncomfortable in my body, in my skin. All I wanted was to like get married and like find my husband. And then I would go and do all this deep inner work. And my dream was to quit commercial real estate and to be a yoga instructor and to take women to Greece and travel the world. And so I just started like traveling the world. I went to Africa by myself. I went to Greece by myself. I
Wow.
went
By
to Argentina by
yourself.
myself in my late 20s.
Wow. That's amazing.
And I was still in commercial real estate. And so long and the short of it is I just started doing all of this really, really, really deep work. I went and got my master's in spiritual psychology. I
Was
feel
that in
like
Santa
my
Monica? Was that the program
Mhm.
in Santa Monica? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I feel like my heart just kind of started opening in that program, and I started softening, and these aspects of my femininity started coming through. And that was like the dark night of the soul moment, like 29, 30-ish.
Yeah.
Um, I started slowing down in commercial real estate. I actually merged my business with my quote unquote best guy friend at the time, who I've now been married to for 10 years. So we
Oh,
merged our commercial real estate team. We moved in together. Um, we built a house together. We got engaged, got married, got pregnant. It was like boom, 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 boom.
yep.
And I just, like 3 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 1 step back. I just have basically since then, so that's been 15 years, I've just been softening. Like, and I do this with my hands. It's just like I've been like pulling the layers like back and back and back. And it's like, I'll go into this business and it's amazing and it's coaching and there's so much of it that I love. And then there's these aspects of my old self and old patterns and the go, 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 and the wanting to win and the wanting to have multiple 7-figure business that seep in. It's like, okay, I'm going to just pull that back.
Mm,
And then I did it again in network marketing. Okay, I'm going to pull it back. So we're all just like in the process of
yes.
healing and growing and evolving.
Yeah, it's like that ambitious part of you that got praised is still inside of you and it helps you. It's a pro and a con.
Mhm.
It's the shadow and the light. It's your gift. And then there's this other aspect of you that's just like, let me be free, let my soul expand, I just want to be free, is what I'm hearing.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I,
so some of
and
that was triggering for people and still might be.
yeah, and even, yeah, and yes, some of that is very triggering to people. Um, and over the last 5 months, I have it's this new season where we're all just continuing to evolve and reiterate, aren't we? Like all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And so over the last 5 months, I have made a couple of significant changes in my life. And it feels like perhaps for the first time in my life,
Hmm.
am genuinely not striving for anything, trusting divine timing in a way that I have never trusted before,
Mm,
am truly at peace with the not having the multiple 6-figure, 7-figure business, with not being in the limelight, with genuinely just wanting to garden and be on my property. And the only piece of myself is like, I know that God made me a certain way to connect and to be of service. And just because I don't have a quote unquote business right now, there is this desire to connect, which is why I said yes to Cathy to being on stage, which is why I said yes to being here with you, which
hmm.
is why I decided to kind of rebrand the podcast, Feet on the Grass,
I love
to
that so
just
much. Yes.
thank you, to like genuinely just connect. And I know that spirit has in store for me like the next iteration of service in whatever way that desires to come forward. I also know that it's not now. And
Mm-hmm.
to really trust that timing is feels courageous inside of myself. I hope that people can see it. And also, I'm okay if people are triggered by it.
Yeah. Standing in that is so powerful. That's the unhooking and the deconditioning from needing it to come from outside of ourselves, any of it. I feel like you grew up really fast. And you're like
I
now
did.
you're like I'm doing my 60s now like but it's so exciting.
Oh my God, that's so true. It's like I'm an old woman in my garden
Yeah.
in retirement.
Right. But it's like so exciting because you have so much more and you could like go to Greece again, but like do it from this new place and
Yeah.
all of that. I'm just curious about this. I love the domestic CEO title
Hmm.
because I've been for maybe the past few days, a week, just walking around thinking about that. And it's just it's transforming my life. Thinking
Oh my
about that
God.
because of you,
Yay.
I just feel so much more pride and ownership and joy around my household stuff and my mom's stuff that I need to do. Whereas previously it was like, it's triggering for me. I want to avoid it. I don't want to, it's like, I don't like the whole domestic anything that feels like I have to do this. And I'm a
I know.
1950s woman, like all, like it's very triggering. So this is allowing me to, this domestic CEO title is like allowing me to kind of embrace it in a new way that feels good.
I'm so delighted to hear that feedback. And I've gotten some feedback on the episode, and it's been really positive. And I have to be honest, I almost didn't post it because I was just, I don't know. I was like judging it, and I didn't actually even listen back to the episodes. And I don't, there was something inside of me that was just like, I don't even know what it is, to be honest.
You're so
But
vulnerable. You're so transparent. You're like, this is every detail of my life. I mean, if it makes so much sense, it's so courageous.
oh, thanks. Okay, well, maybe that's why I felt very nervous about hitting post on it. It's it's a really important role.
Yeah,
And I think, for without generalizing, like most of us women take it on,
yeah,
and it sometimes it's unspoken. Many of our husbands are stepping up in ways that maybe they did in the past.
yeah.
Um, as present as my husband is in some ways, he's not necessarily a like doer. So he's not that in a lot of ways. And that's okay. It's kind of like a agreement that we've made both consciously and unconsciously. But I feel like it's such an important role, and there's so many layers to it and so many
Yes.
aspects to it.
Yes. And thank you
And
for naming them because even you
yeah,
just being like, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this. And I'm like, yeah, I do that stuff too. Like,
I
I don't
know.
even think about it. I just run my business. I do, it's like we do. Oh my gosh. And when I was visiting my girlfriend in LA, she was doing way too much. And I was like, girl, but that's her journey.
That is her journey. And I'll like, I think I said this in the podcast, but I don't know. One of the things that I would run into a lot when I was coaching, and still this day, is women that are maybe starting their business, or even women that just have the capacity, even if they're just solely a quote unquote stay-at-home mom, is this negating the need for any extra support. And so I understand that depending on where certain people are, that it may not even be an option. But the
Sure.
amount of conversations that I have had with women in different circumstances where they say, my husband told me to go get more support. My husband is saying, get a
Mm,
part-time nanny or get a house cleaner more often, or you're super stressed. Do you want someone to
mm,
come in and help with a little bit of cooking or a little bit of errands? And
mm.
it's their own self-worth. It's their own ideas. It's our own ideas of what we should be or need to be, or proving ourselves, or thinking we need to be able to do all this alone, or women thinking if I'm not making enough, if I'm not making anything or I'm not making enough, then
Right.
I can't have the help. And
Ugh,
I'm like,
that's the
no,
conditioning. Yes, yes,
that
yes,
is
yes.
such old conditioning. For some people, it's asking their moms for help or their sisters for
Hmm.
help, or doing some type of trade with your preschool age kids where one mom takes the two kids. It's like
Yep.
there's creative ways if the funds aren't available. But if where there are just also so many people who say the funds aren't available, when it's maybe tweaking a couple things to get a
Right.
little bit of extra support, because you are worth it, and your self-care is worth it, and your energetic is worth it, and you overflowing for your family is worth it.
Yes, because they feel it if we're stressed and we're overwhelmed and our, bandwidth is just stretched too wide. Like they all feel it when we're taking
Yes,
care of ourselves. And I think it's that capacity to receive
it
that
is.
that we are just starting to work on more consciously as
You're
women.
gonna like the podcast that lands tomorrow. It's
Okay.
all about
Uh,
receiving. So here we are, right on schedule. It's perfect. This is the
Yes.
conversation.
Yes. It's not comfortable expanding our capacity to receive. Like it's not just like a flip, it's of the switch, like, but for me, it's breath work. Like that will shortcut right to my ability to just open. And this morning, like I did a breath work right before I got on with you, and I was like, oh, now I'm in my body. Okay. And
Yeah.
like I put some music on afterwards and I'm dancing in the mirror and I'm like, now I might feel in the mood to have sex later, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's even talk about creating the time to have sex because I feel so embodied and so open and so in my feminine. And I'm so tired, exhausted at 8:30, 9:30. And
Yep.
I'm like, honey, can we just like carve out some time at 10 a.m. when the kids are at school? Because that's just fun and playful. Or, like it's just, and there's some negotiating always because we have lives and jobs and things to do. But it's like, even if you're doing breath work and dancing in your kitchen at 9 or 10 or noon or 3, it's okay if you're still really tired, right? Like it's like
Mm.
it's just our lives are
Yes.
full. Our lives are full. And so, there's so much
Totally.
conversation in like the in the spiritual world around manifestation. Believe me, I taught it for 5, 7 years. Like I love the conversation of manifesting and also the clear intention with the elevated emotion, like equals manifesting, like, and also you have to be willing to take it in. You have to be willing to drink it in.
Mm.
There has to be space
Mm.
in order to like have it, hit your heart. And so I think I've shared this a little bit, but one of the things that I'm playing with energetically from a domestic CEO standpoint is mastering energy and playing in these different realms and elevating my emotion. Like our family is clear on what we want. Like we are very clear, but then elevating that emotion. And what's been happening is that the energetics of the whole family have been going up. And so it's like Kenny, my husband, is lighter. He's literally lighter. Like he's just making jokes and eating lighter, and my kids are lighter. And so the whole vibration of our family is lightening.
Mm.
And I can see that the manifestations are actually happening. My husband said to me the other night, we're laying in bed, it's 9 o'clock. I actually have my little sleep mask on and my back's to him and I'm like falling asleep and he's kind of telling me about his day. And he's like, my gosh, he's looking at his phone. He's like, my gosh, like I'm just so, so, so busy. He's like, this is like the heyday again. Mind you, commercial real estate market is really down. That's the space he's in
Mm.
LA. The
Mm.
market is
Mm.
down. Things are
Mm.
slow. And he goes, it's like the heyday again. And I pause and I like take my sleep mask off and I turn around. It's like been slow for a little while now. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, tell me more. I'm like,
Oh.
honey, do you know that I've been like moving energy over you and like working with and it's so I'm sharing this. It's woo woo, it's out there, but we have the capacity to manifest without thinking that we have to do everything. Like that is really it's a both and. It's a both and.
The most magical things that I have manifested are when I've chanted yes and breathed yes, but also had mushroom journeys, and that those have been all about just letting go,
Yeah.
shedding, 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 and then the
Yes.
miracle happens.
Yeah, so I would say more than dabbling in plant medicine recently. I had done two full dose ceremonies like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and then 1.5 years ago, and then it just wasn't my timing to continue. And as I'm kind of marking this new stage of my development and growth, um, and willingness to slow down and willingness to receive, it is very, very, very much earmarked with a psilocybin journey about 4 months ago. And since
Mm.
then, I've been actually microdosing and have done two more full, like it's my medicine right now.
Yeah.
And it's been so impactful. And I'm working with a facilitator slash shaman. I'm not doing it on my own.
Hmm.
And it's been,
I think that's so important too, by the way,
it
for
is,
everyone listening. Like, this is not about, we're not talking about recreation,
yeah, we're
right?
not. No, nope, nope, we're not. No, we're talking about very intentional working with plant medicine like that's it. And so some people are drawn to ayahuasca, some people are drawn to, different heart openers. There's heart openers, there's kanna, there's sassafras, there's MDMA, there's psilocybin. People know about ketamine, and it's becoming a real, I've kind of done a deep dive in the last several months, and I'm still very new, and it'll be interesting how this continues to want to unfold just in my life and the ranch and
Yeah.
who knows? I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm
Yep.
definitely not jumping into any type of facilitation at this point, and I'm very much called um to this work. And so more to be revealed, but and I can talk about it as much as you want. I'm like so
Yeah.
into it.
Well, tell me if you want to, like, what is the biggest kind of juiciest? I mean, we could talk for days, but
Yeah.
um, what are some of the biggest, juiciest, transformative processes or outcomes for you? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
happy to answer that. Um, so I'm gonna just start with the recent, like the three journeys I've done, because I feel like the facilitation of those three have been just really eloquent and expanded and just spot on. Whereas the two prior, it was a little bit more of like a friendship situation. And I actually don't feel like I got the facilitation or it was the proper container. So in
Mm-hmm.
the psychedelic world, you'll hear a lot about set and setting, and this setting being really really vital. And there were
Yes.
just like little aspects of the setting that, knowing what I know now, I don't actually feel like were of the highest. And so there was some challenges with those for me, and people have challenging journeys, period, and I learned so much from them. So I don't and this feels a bit of like a rebirth and a reintroduction to psychedelics starting in February of this year. So about 4 months ago. So the first one, it was the earmark of that one was just so gentle. And the woman that I'm working with, she works with a combination of different medicines. So obviously different people have different practices, but she really layers it in, and she starts with the light dosing, and she starts with what she calls heart openers, which are some type of combination of sassafras, kanna, maybe a little bit of MDMA. And so it was just so gentle. Like I can't say that enough. Like it was so gentle. And I feel like I've done so much hard work in healing. Like I've done
Mm-hmm.
the anger burns. I've done the, just the intensity. I've done the past life stuff. I've felt like the depths of pain and the darkness. And I also know that a lot of that comes up for a lot of people in
Yeah.
medicine journeys. And it
Yeah.
may very well for me too. Like
Yeah.
every journey is very different, and it's very important to come to each one of them with new eyes and to not think that anything is going to be repeated. And my experience thus far, I think a lot of it has been so light and so gentle and so healing, because of all the work that I've done, because I
Yes.
know how to breathe, because I know how to move my body, because I know
Yes.
how to move energy, because I'm not like stifled, and I know how to dance and like sway. So it's not like the medicine is like hitting up against anything. It's literally
Right.
like willing to move through my body, and I'm vocal. So all this to be said, the first one was just like, oh, it was just like this like deep exhale, like almost like this orgasmic exhale, like, oh my God, this is like so gentle and so beautiful. And there was just so much gratitude for my life and my husband and my kids
Yes.
and our
Yes.
property. Yeah, it was just really beautiful, honestly, just so beautiful.
I feel
Um,
that. Yeah.
yeah. And then the second one was also a solo journey with this woman. She came down to the ranch again, and she lives in LA. And that one was pretty profound. Um, I have yet to describe it really. I think what I'll share is that my third eye was just blown open. Blown, can I swear? Like blown
Yeah.
the fuck open. Like so fucking open. It was like insane. Insane. Like it was just, I'm very visual in general. Like Dr. Joe Dispenza events for
Yeah.
me. Like I do see very
Yes.
clearly.
Yes.
And so the imagery that was coming in was just really like intense and beyond gorgeous. Geometric patterns, like
Mm.
I feel actually I want to hold a little tight to my chest, like all of the imagery because it feels
Yeah.
really sacred.
Yeah.
Um, but just the deities and the symbolism, it was just beyond powerful. So there was just a level of like clairvoyance that I also experienced. I think that's what I don't know. There was just like this channel open that it was like there was like this knowingness too of certain things like with our future and my kids and even like the woman that was sitting next to me. I was like, "Do you want to know this? Like it's very clear like what's coming through." So it was really 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 powerful.
Wow.
Yeah, and then
I feel like it reveals our superpowers in that way. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Totally.
does. Like those gifts really can come online,
Yeah. Because we're
which
not
can
contracted around it. Like our power can like just breathe, like you're saying. Yeah.
which can also be hard to come back from.
Right. Integration is like, I am this ultimate powerful clairvoyant being, but now I'm in this 3D again, and how do I
Yeah.
operate and who am I?
Yeah, so there was a lesson, like a logistics lesson in that for me because I had her come down to the ranch really early one morning. And it was a day where my kids have school after school. And so I was like, okay, we're gonna start medicine at like 10 in the morning and I'll be
I've done
fine by
that.
oh my God.
I did that by myself, Heidi. I was like, I'm on my own today. I'm gonna have a Voxer friend hold me, like if I need to communicate. And then
Yeah.
I was so aware of when the kids were coming home, and my husband was in LA and I'm in Washington. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. Like, I was just too aware that they were coming home soon. And I was like, I cannot,
I
like,
know.
have them see me acting weird or anything. Like, I just was like, I have to be normal now. I'm going to make the snack trays. It was like, I'm not doing that again.
It was same.
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
lesson. Yeah, so big lesson there.
Oh,
Yeah, and so the literal logistics as moms of young kids is challenging with, with the dynamics. So the third one I just felt really called to gather in group. And so five women came to the ranch and
mm,
whisked my son off to an overnight. And then my husband and daughter were in our casita and dog,
so
100-pound
cute.
dog.
That's so cute.
We're in the casita. I can trust my daughter. If we say to not go in the house, she won't go in the house. But my son, I can't trust him. Like he'll just run. He'll be too curious.
Yeah.
And he's honestly just too tapped in. Like he just feels everything. So I'm
Yeah.
like, he
Nope.
can't. So that was interesting. Like, so it was really healing. Have you done group work?
Only with three people in one room. Like
Okay.
the shaman, me, and my husband.
Oh, okay.
It's,
Yep.
I think it might be too much for me. I don't know. Maybe I'll get there. It's a lot for me even to have one other person in the room with me.
Yeah. Yeah. So my husband, and I did one. This was one of like the previous ones, and I really deeply desire to do one with him again. And my hunch is that I desire to only do heart openers with him, like maybe not go into the mushrooms. Just,
Right.
there's so much research and just there's just so much of people using MDMA and heart openers in couples therapy. And so
Wow.
my husband's super sensitive and he's actually way, way, way kind of gun shy with the plant medicines. So we're working through that. Anyways,
Totally
um,
get it. My husband
yeah.
just every single time he just has to cry the whole time. He's just
Oh,
that's his process. He's
Yeah,
just
and then you're
gonna
like sitting there holding
cry.
space and you're like, okay, I want to have my own.
Oh,
I
can
want
I?
to blast
I,
off.
I want to just put the music on. Maybe let's have sex. He's like, I'm crying. I'm
I
like, let's. I'm like,
know.
let's go in the hot tub and look at the stars. You know. But that. But then
Totally.
I've been on the other flip side of that, the journey after that, and I was like, got it. Yep. I just need to cry the whole time.
So that, right? So there's like so much juice and wisdom in like seeing the aspects of our partners that we don't want to see or that we need to see or all like there, I think there's so much there. So yeah, there's just a desire to deepen in that with with Kenny. Um, and so this third one with the girls, it was really good. Like
Hmm.
playful, fun, like, like it felt like there was a little bit of like our little girls coming out, like, oh, like let's just like play and like
Yeah.
hug and like love on each other. And then there were the pieces that were triggering.
Right.
And so to watch that and notice it and to notice, oh, like I'm really willing to make sounds and to move and to chant, and that's actually triggering to that person.
Yep.
Okay. And then that person's not quite unsure about it. And so it's like, oh, okay, let's navigate this. And that one in particular took I mean, we're constantly integrating, so it's not like you integrate for 1 day or 2 days or 5 days and then you're just done. And my experience was that one was the most triggering and the one
Mm.
that took me the most time to kind of quote unquote integrate and frankly still am. Um, so
I
yeah.
can't look at people's faces. I'm just like, I see your third eye is talking to me, or you're plastic, your face is totally plastic, or you look like a troll or you're an old man. It's
Yeah.
like the faces are so much to take in.
They are. And it's just, I think important, have you shared about all of this on your podcast?
I've interviewed several people about their
Okay.
experiences and kind of interjected my own here and there. And I was
Yeah.
going to do an episode with my husband where we talked about our journeys, and it's just never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really, for me, and this is just my own where I'm at with it, it's really important to, I don't know, just name and kind of couch this conversation in development and growth and evolution. And like,
Yes.
because there is, I don't know,
The
at least for
stigma.
me,
Yeah.
yeah, stigma
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
judgment
Yep.
and I quit drinking about 6 months ago, 5, 6 months ago. And so there are nights where like we're going to a social party and I may take like a little tiny little bit of like a microdose chocolate mushroom just to, it's like, okay, whatever, just a little bit lighter, whatever. Um, but this is really different. Like this is not just like this is really different. This is
Yep.
ceremonial. There's very clear intention. There's really calling in on spirit guides. There's really opening to um what is there for you, and the medicine wants direction. So the intention is really 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 important in
Yes.
setting the tone, and that is part of the set and setting is so what I've experienced, and again, I'm still very much a newbie, but being really clear on my intention and then also letting it go and trusting that
Right.
whatever comes through in that journey is what I'm meant to experience. And I just, I know enough to know that it's not all rainbows and unicorns, even though I very much see rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah. Yeah. I love
Um,
that.
yeah, it's, there's even like, and when I was like, oh, okay, I can see that darkness in my family lineage big time.
Yes.
And I'm gonna consciously choose in this medicine journey to not go there.
Right.
But it's very clearly there. And there's also like a kind of knowingness inside of me somewhere that like at some point in the medicine journeys, there will be a need to know more about that. And I don't really, it's like, ugh, 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 like, but whatever, it'll show itself when it's time. And I trust that I'll be able to handle it and I'll trust that I'll be supported and all of those things. And also for right now, it just feels really expanded and fun and new gifts are coming online and really, really special, really sacred.
I think it's beautiful that you just honored it. That you saw there here is a distinct thought line, process, timeline, ancestry thing that needs to be healed. I see it, I honor it. I'm not going to go down that hole right now,
Yeah.
but I respect it. And when
Yeah.
it's ready and when it's time and if it's time, because maybe it's just like honoring it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, this Heidi, I love talking to you. I knew this was going to be fun and revealing and special, and just so excited to just get to know you better. Um, you really inspired me when I first saw you at the panel, at Cathy Heller's podcast panel, because you were talking about the way you do your podcast now is you're just feet on the grass and you're holding your phone, I think you said, right? And you're just like moving your body and you're talking and you're just letting it come out as you move, right?
Yes and no. My feet aren't literally on the grass. I'm not outside. I'm inside and
Okay.
I am doing it on my computer, but I have been moving a lot. Like I'm like, I
I-
could feel like stagnant energy that was like my voice. I was getting caught up. And I was like, okay, what if I just like shake it out here and I just like move around and move my body and then see what wants to come through? And I was like, ah, yeah, it's coming through.
That is so inspiring and freeing to me to hear you describe that. And just my whole thing right now, my takeaway from that summit is just let it be easy. Just
Yeah,
let it be playful. Stop trying so hard. Like my perfectionism, the controls, it's just like, what if I don't have to earn everything? What if I don't have to prove it? What if it doesn't have to be hard?
I know.
What if it can just be playful and easy?
I know.
Oh,
And you know what? I don't have I don't have the answers. I just know that I'm unavailable to do it any other way right now.
yeah, I love that. Mm, it's
And I
beautiful.
just trust deeply that in the letting it be easy, um, the resources and needs and ways that our family is meant to be supported will continue to be supported. And I actually believe not only supported, but abundantly like thriving. Um,
Mm,
I really, really like in every ounce of my being, I know that it's possible and that even that it's happening. And it's just a new paradigm. It's like I think
yeah.
that a lot of us, whatever you want to call us, light workers, activator, whatever we are, I I hesitate using some of those that jargon because it's just a little new agey, but
Hmm.
it's like I do feel like we're turning online in new ways and I think we're finding each other. Like you found me and now I found
Hmm.
you and we get to really deepen in these conversations and they're so powerful and they're so potent and 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 they're of the new way. Like what I what I caution all of us and what I'm cautioning myself is just beware. It's not, there's no judgment. Everyone gets to do their own thing and have their own journey. I just want all of us to like beware of placing feminine conversation and frequencies and these higher level ways of being that we're talking high vibrational, that's the way to
Hmm.
say it, high
Hmm.
vibrational ways of being
Hmm.
on top of masculine, old masculine paradigms
Yeah.
because it's really seductive and there's like a sexiness to like, oh, we're having this high vibrational conversation and now you need to come and pay for a $30,000 6-month container in order to get it.
Mm.
So I don't even know what I mean by that. I just there's part of me that's really allergic to the funnels and the systems and the masculine shit that none of us want to do, that it doesn't feel good to any of us. But some part of us, and I'll just speak like I'm done, but I've been there. So like some part of you like thinks that you have to do that in order to quote unquote make it. And so I don't have all the answers. I'm just encouraging and like if you feel called to that, great, do it. And if you feel like I just there's just some part of me it feels it's like I have to say it. Like let's just keep taking the next step forward in the new way. Before we got on this call, it's why I was a couple minutes late. I was actually talking to another soul sister who's a friend, has a really beautiful business, and she's really feeling called to like expand into the next version of herself, be more seen,
Hmm.
be more what just, all the things
Up level, yeah.
up level on all the different ways, but she's so like committed to trusting her intuition. And there's just some things that are out there, some quote unquote opportunities that are kind of dangling like a carrot. And there's an aspect of her that knows that she's a no, but they're so sexy
Mm, mm.
that's like there's part of her that's like, I feel like I want to say yes. And it's like, there's no right or wrong. There's no, I have said yes so many fucking times. So I get it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's not that I'm like on this like anti coaching. I love the coaching industry.
I love how
Just,
controversial what you're saying is
yeah.
coming from someone in it.
Yeah.
I love that you're saying this. Um, and it sounds like what you're saying is, look, we all have access to this vibration. We all have access to our own authority and our own magic. And
Yes.
if you want to put faith into something that's outside of yourself that you feel in your bones is going to, quotes, up level you, great. And
Yes.
and also you don't need to do anything to be whole.
Yes.
Like you're whole.
Yes, you are whole. And you are whole. And my experience has been that I have invested in myself time and time and time again,
Mm,
and very, very, very much benefit from that, up leveled from it, expanded from it, experienced more wealth consciousness from it, sometimes met people. And I have invested out of full bodied integrity because I wanted something to work so badly. And I can't say every part of me, a part of me knew that it was throwing money at a problem
mm, mm,
and that it wasn't fully aligned.
mm,
So
mhm.
the discernment piece in this space, in the spiritual space, um, in the coaching space is so vital. It's so vital. And so use discernment, trust yourself, and be willing to go slow, which I know is not what you want to hear. It's not what I want to hear. I want to go
Right. It doesn't
fast.
sound sexy. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah,
I
yeah.
want my problem to be fixed. I want the 100 people in my course. I want the multiple six-figure, seven-figure business. Of course. Why wouldn't you? We all want it. We all,
But do you feel safe to receive it? And I think that's where I'm at too, is like, but what feels good?
what feels good? Full circle,
Yeah.
expanding our capacity to feel good. Like a fucking man. Thank you.
Hmm. I love that the discernment piece because when you say like throw money at a problem, and we'll wrap up, but like it's that thing of you're always going to have to do the work yourself.
Yeah.
Like nothing else is going to, although I will say, I got to send you this one woman who does a lot of it for you. And it's amazing. But it only worked. The reason it worked is because I've done so much work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like she does the quantum collapsing timeline thing.
Oh,
And she just
yeah.
like flips the switches for you of these belief systems and stuff with relationships where you're like so hooked in and you're just like obsessing about a person and she'll like flip the switch for you and it's like boom, magic. I'm like, whoa, I needed you when I was like 15. I mean, it's crazy.
I let me clarify. I'm not saying don't work with healers, don't work with people, don't. I'm not saying that. I'm saying beware of the sexy spiritual coaching situation online where it's like pay for this program and set up all your funnels and you're going to make $10,000 a month or $20,000 a month or $100,000 a month. And I'm not saying that even doing that won't happen. Honor your path. Go a little slower, just a little bit slower. Tune in on if you really want to create a $27 program or if you're just doing that because some part of you is afraid to charge $2,000 for your program. Really understand who you're working with and getting coaching from instead of thinking that some masculine systems are going to solve all of your business problems. Cathy Heller is the real deal. She's the real deal. She's not telling you to go and do all these things, which I think can be sometimes really frustrating for her clients because you're like, tell me what to do. And I haven't been like in the depths of her programs, but she is such a queen of doing it messy. And she actually does it fast, which is like mind boggling to me. But she does it so freaking messy. I've watched her. I've known the woman for 7 years. I watched her when she was having her first baby, like just after she was having her first baby, like start her podcast and like just talk to the point where I was like, Kath, you need to do your hair before you start doing
Yeah,
podcasts.
yeah.
Like, who are you? Like, come on. This is getting a little like too next door. Like, you're like very relatable. Like, let's amp it up
That
just a
was
little
me. That was
bit.
me. Until Kate Taylor, and then I was like, I better kind of
Oh my
like
God.
reel this in, like
Oh my
make a
God.
little effort. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a little effort here.
Love
Yeah.
freaking Kate Taylor. Yeah. Um, so I'm just wanting people to discern and to listen to their own path and to tune in and go, does this resonate? Like we all need each other. People deserve to be paid. People deserve to be paid like via their frequency. I have had so much money come in. I've had so much money go out. I have invested when I knew it wasn't going to work. I've joined $30,000 masterminds and dropped them a month into it when it was a 6-month thing. I have had, healers that I paid $2,000 and it's the most epic growth experience of my life. And I've had everything in between, and I've had people for $150, like all of it, all of it.
Mm.
So I I don't even know why it's coming out, but it's just like it can get seductive and it can get sexy and it can be like this thing is going to solve all your problems. I'm just like, no, let's just slow down and listen and like maybe put the blinders on a little bit more and let's get our feet in the grass and let's find each other and let's help each other and let's really be moving from that space. And the things that we need and the things that we want, they are coming. Like they're coming, they're coming, they're coming, they're coming, they're coming.
Mm.
And just trusting that, yeah, they're coming, 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 they're
Trust.
coming. They
Yes.
are, they're coming, they're
Trust.
coming, they're coming in perfect divine timing and order.
Yeah. It's the
And so it
trust.
is.
Yeah. Beautiful. Oh, Heidi, I love you. You're
I love
wonderful.
you. I love you.
Oh.
This has been really joyful. Thank you for
Mm.
opening up this space and having it be safe for me to share all of me. And it feels really good.
You're so welcome. And it was such an honor, such a pleasure. I feel so enlightened. This was so much fun. This is what it's all about.
It is. This is it.
All right. Well, if you want your love notes, right? Your weekly love notes from the
Oh
ranch.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm sending out weekly love notes from the ranch and there's a podcast that comes out every Friday. So the best way to find those is just to go on Instagram at Heidi Stevens. So at Heidi Stevens. And in the link, there is the podcast. You can be found on Apple and Spotify and all the things. It's called Feet on the Grass. And then in the link in the profile is where to sign up for the weekly love notes.
And I will be posting and resharing and all the things. So you'll see Heidi on my Instagram, all over it. So, yeah. Love you guys. Thank you for coming on the journey with us. And please reach out if you have stuff you want to share, your own experiences, anything you want to share with us. I think I would love to hear.
We're here for it. We are
Yeah.
here for it. Absolutely.
All right. Bye, guys. Bye.